fact that he's been doing this for over 10 years, he has an incredible amount of insight. So you got this done originally over 10 years ago in March, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So I want to know a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of people at home want to know a little bit about the evolution of this. Like what it first looked like 10 years ago, what you thought, and why did you decide to get this done?
Yeah, so it's come a long way in 10 years. I think in another video that kind of caught your attention was what I said, 10 years ago when people first started doing this, it was all they could do to make this look like hair in the first place. At all costs, how could we make it look like hair? So the standards were much lower than what they are today.
It was more like I'm going to have a hairline and I'm going to be able to conceal my hair loss versus really how amazing are the results going to be.
You're going to have a, excuse me, without anyone saying it, it's almost like a stamped on hairline is what you'd have years ago, which...
That was kind of the compromise, have hair.
Yeah, but nobody looked at it like that. Really, it was our expectations were lower. So, myself being a pretty desperate guy when it came to hair loss, I was wearing makeups already in my head for like 2.5 years. So I was just any semblance of what could look possible, right? And the reason I got my treatment removed just recently is because for a few years now, we've been doing these soft feathered, natural, really natural looking hairlines.
Undetectable. Some guys don't even tell their wives. I don't know how they get away with it, honestly, but they have no idea.
Sure. So it's come a long way. So now, we specifically, a small group of people when I say we, but a lot of the front-running artists, the really good artists out there, not only are we making it look natural, we're saying to ourselves, how can we make this look natural permanently?
Yes,
or at least until it fades away where you would need a touch-up of some of the sort. It's a very sensitive topic, so I'll let you conduct the interview. We'll get into that.
So when did you start seeing that the results started changing, like the shift in the actual industry, and it actually started becoming more natural and more...
But there's been a couple of shifts. That's what's so cool about this. There's no reference book on this industry, right?
Yes.
The best artists are, who's saying is the best artist at the time, who has the biggest popularity, following. It's...
really, the results are the results.
So here's the thing about the results. And we've said this in other videos, I don't care how good an artist is, your results can only be as good as the canvas you're working on.
Yes.
So I think I mentioned to you when you first came on about a year and a half ago, you're seeing the best results, in my opinion, in Puerto Rico. These guys are doing some amazing work, and
they've got that butter skin.
They got the nice skin, yeah. Now I don't want to
discourage anybody.
No, I don't want to create any confusion because a lot of them do those sharper edge up looks. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about laying it into the right depth in the skin, and also the skin being able to hold the ink, not just today but long term. How's it going to look? Doing this a while, you have to anticipate what is it going to look like a month from now, a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now.
Well, I think that's a problem though, is a lot of people really don't do that.
That's
They're looking initially, how is it going to look just right now when this gentleman walks out, not 5 years, 6 years, 2 years.
In other words, a big portion, a big bulk of this industry worldwide is doing what a lot of us were doing 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and people aren't learning from the mistakes.
Yes.
Meaning all they're doing is they're tattooing the head, really. Let's be real. They're going a little bit deeper than what I would ever advise anyone to go. Something else we spoke about before we made this video was I hear a lot of artists, a lot of companies out there explaining what is scalp micropigmentation. And it's almost like they're in robot mode. They're regurgitating what they heard because it sounds so perfect.
It sounds nice.
Because it's exactly what you want to hear. Like we go on the epidermis, not into the dermis, so it's a very light, shallow approach, blah, 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 blah. And then I look at that artist's portfolio on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and I can see clearly they have no clue where they actually need to set the ink. They're saying it.
And they're saying the right things, but they're not actually...
Intellectually, they can grasp the concept, but they're not actually applying
Their skill level is really not showing the results.
That's
it's not showing what they should be showing.
That's right.
Got it. And for you, when was this like an aha moment where like the light bulb went off and you were like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing and this is how I have to do it?
I don't know if there was a specific moment that I had. I think it was an accumulation of multiple moments, right? Multiple experiences. Like I said, there's no reference book on this industry. As much as I hate to admit it, to be a good artist, you had to make some pretty grand mistakes. And I'd like to think all of my mistakes are behind me. But as you and I know, it's art and anything can pop up. And That's the fun part to me, right? And that's where
meaning dry skin or any type of skin conditions, or just in general.
On a medication,
Yes.
or a young healthy guy, why is he not taking it? I mean, there's just so many variables. That's what's it's just another obstacle for people to get over in buying into this industry. Is it's not going to look good on me. It doesn't look good on that guy. It only looks good on a select few.
We
It's
hear
kinda
that a lot
true,
too.
but it's true in a lot of ways.
Yes and no.
It's just there's a lack of knowledge when it comes to that statement, right? There's so much
Yes.
more to it than just I'm not the right. You can make your skin ideal. You can
Exactly.
go to the right artist and get the right application.
Exactly.
That fine balance of getting it dark enough to making
The
it.
balance of natural but still dark enough.
If you're gonna do it, do it. Go dark enough, but at the same time, most guys I wanted
Go
to.
big or go home. No.
Well, that's the concept. A lot of people are, and that's the reality. A lot of people are like,
Yeah.
go big or go home, and what they don't realize what they're doing is they're compromising a look for today.
Yes.
And in 2 years now, 3 years now, and we're starting to see it here in
Yeah.
California. Guys are saying, I had it done for 2 or 3 years. It served me well, but I look at it now and it doesn't make me feel good anymore.
Exactly.
I need to remove it and start fresh. And
Yeah.
isn't that what we're trying to do? We're trying to get that to stop in the industry, just with better education, better information.
Yep.
So
Better knowledge.
that's right.
So now let me ask you something, because the word tattoo scares a lot of people, and I know we've
Sure.
spoken about this, especially with the hot seat here at Scalp Logic,
Sure.
but it's I'd like you to really break it down for everybody at home listening. What is the difference exactly between a tattoo and versus what we do?
Okay, so
Meaning us, Scalp Logic.
the biggest difference that comes to my mind is again the depth. What's so hard about explaining this is because you really need a visual to really grasp this.
Very true.
Unfortunately, there's no visual. I haven't seen anyone on microscopic photo or video rather of them going into the epidermis.
We're gonna see it next week. It's gonna pop up somewhere. No, I'm just kidding.
And then that'd be awesome if someone could do that.
would be, that would be
Kudos,
awesome,
yeah,
yeah.
please. But the point is, back to what we said earlier, people are explaining it. They just wanted the ink to sit right in the epidermis, the top little layers of the skin, right? And not into the dermis, but it needs to hold in the dermis. So it's striking that exactly where the epidermis and the dermis meet.
It's knowing exactly how deep you can go, where you can go,
Right.
and knowing that it's actually going to stay or what's going to happen long term as an artist, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So to be clear, you can't get the ink won't stay in just the epidermis. You have to go into the dermis. But with SMP, we want to find that tight little window. We're talking like the thickness of a dime, the thickness of a couple sheets of paper. It's very minimal.
Yes.
It's different in all regions of the scalp, and guess what? It's different on every different scalp. This is why it's so custom. So with body art tattoo, I would argue it's easier to learn how to implant ink specifically because you're going into the dermis.
You're going deeper, is essentially for people that don't really understand.
Yeah, hence why you can do a body art tattoo. You don't ever hear of doing multiple sessions with any kind of body art tattoo. And the biggest reason for that is because you have the ability to go a lot deeper in different regions of the skin. The scalp is just unique in itself in so many ways. So that's one of the fundamental differences between body art tattooing and SMP tattooing.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. So then, because a common question that we'll often hear is, okay, well, I've had these tattoos for 5 years and they started to turn colors and they
Right.
started to fade.
Right.
How do I know that that's not going to happen with my scalp micropigmentation?
Yeah, so just to finish the previous thought, another big difference is the equipment used, right? Very similar equipment, but you're going to use finer needles for SMP, and you're going to use bigger gauges, bigger needles, bigger groupings of needles, along with going deeper, and also different inks, right? The inks that we use are
That's a touchy subject there.
they are different in a lot of ways, although they all are tattoo inks. Just to reiterate that one more time for you people out there, some of the inks are a little bit different. Metal oxide makeups. These are 1,000 different ways you can make tattoo ink. So for the most part, colored inks, all that kind of stuff is going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
So back to your question, why is it holding up differently in 5 years is setting in?
And what
So
would be
again,
the difference? Yeah.
the depth is almost everything to that question. The depth that someone's going, put it like this, it's in the bloodstream more so than SMP.
Okay.
Once you're in the bloodstream, things are going to mix up, they're going to pull up. Again, there's so many variables to explain, it's hard to kind of grip them, but the biggest takeaway is the depth that people are going. That's what makes, you can even look on an old tattoo, you can see done by a really good artist versus someone who, at a friend's house at a party, you can see
Those
the
little homemade
migration.
tattoos.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. It's
Yeah.
pretty clear to see.
Okay.
So even a good body art tattoo artist will be more conservative with their depths if they're gonna anticipate long-term results.
So now the next question is, what makes, and I mean this is something we can both answer, is really what makes Scalp Logic, what makes our process so different than anybody else's?
Yeah, so our process is, there's a couple of things, but again, I reference the depth. It's everything. Again, a lot of people are regurgitating the good information. The depth is everything in SMP.
But they're not really applying it.
We look at the results, they're not applying that theory. They're really not applying that practice. It's hard to do. It took me years and years and years of practice. And again, every single client is different. It's hard to dial in. It's very hard. This is what makes it so hard. You know, we've done a lot of trainings. You're like, oh, they're just dots. I can do this. Cool, cool, cool.
I know. Everybody comes in. They're like, well, I mean, it's dots. I practice on a piece of paper. It'll be really easy.
This is the hard part. It's where do you sit the ink? And what's so hard to learn this as well is when I do a fresh result, we have a client coming in here in about a half hour. You know, what it's going to look like today when the ink is still wet, it's still vibrant, it needs time to cure in the skin, it's going to settle into the skin, versus what that's going to look like a week from now, a month from now. This is what people are missing. So this is the big difference between Scout Logic and other companies. We have this experience. Also, Miss Master Esthetician, you know, figuring out the canvas that we're working in pre-care, during, right, prepping their skin ready right when they come here. And,
as well as after,
and then especially after. That's right. So understanding the skin.
Everybody has such different type of skin. We're gonna have somebody that's got a little bit more juicy skin, a little bit more subtle. What's the word?
When she says juicy, she means the
that's
ink,
my way of saying
the
it.
ink is going to retain it a little better. Juicy to our eyes as artists. It's our canvas we see, right? So when we see a good canvas, like, oh, that would be fun to work on. Mm-hmm. It's going to take the ink a little bit better. The ink's going to sit better. It's going to show our best results. So
and then
juicy skin, okay.
As opposed to somebody that has maybe a little bit more mature skin, a little bit more sunspots. And not saying that we wouldn't be able to work on that person, of course not. We'll definitely be able to work on them. It's just we're going to prep them a little bit more, and we're going to take a different course of action.
No, this is what makes us different, because we have a lot of clients coming in saying, Joe, you have a nice shaped head, even though I don't, but they say things like, you have a nice shaped head, or your skin looks good, you have young skin, it's not going to take all mine. And they're right in that, because some guys have like a thicker rawhide, it almost looks like the sunspots, it's damaged.
But then there are older guys that take amazing, and I'm like, wow.
That's
so again,
it's true.
So different.
It's true.
Lifestyle, skin type. I mean, it's different variables that play into scalp micropigmentation.
It's true.
And really customizing the service for each client.
Sure.
So now you got yours removed, and we've done quite a few different applications, and we have probably about one more to go. And I know that you're not in a rush to get it done, and I really think I want to have other people hear that. Why are you not in a rush?
Okay, so I think it's pretty logical to understand the more shallow you go, the less chance of migration, less chance of having that muddled, big dot, tattoo-looking appearance, right? So that's obvious. Once I had this removed, about 6 or 7 months ago, got it reapplied, it just, it took a different form in my mind. And I just, a light bulb, there you go. And then a light bulb went off, and I realized how significant, how important it is to be standing here 3 years from now after making this video, 5 years from now, and knowing we have hundreds or thousands of clients running around, and we're backing up what we're saying, right? It's going to stand the test of time. So I just became even more motivated to really dial in, you know, the serums that we've been working on, going to the lab, seeing what works, what doesn't work, you know, freeing the dry skin long term, not just initially. We're putting a lot of effort, a lot of energy into understanding the skin of each client coming in. It's more important than we ever realized before.
And not only that, but again, we can always add. We can never ever take away.
That's
so
right.
Going back to your treatment, it's like we can always do like a mini treatment if we need to. It's nothing, again.
But I also want to point out, because I heard this on a podcast the other day, you know, I and a lot of guys, you know, we befriend a lot of, you know, we have hours, you know, 10 hours, 15 hours spent on some clients.
We have amazing clients, so honestly.
Yeah, but, you know, a big problem, I think a lot of people, I was happy to oblige years ago, and now I'm very quick to suggest otherwise, but, you know, someone we befriended and they had a good result maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, they call us up, hey, I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to a party, I'm going somewhere, can I just get a quick little touch up? Can you just top it off a little bit? It doesn't work like that. It's like they're asking, put more ink on, put more ink on. Eventually you get to the point where you have too much ink, it has nowhere to go, it's not going to evaporate, right? These aren't vapors we're putting, it's sitting into the skin, and each time you do a touch up, a top up, it's going to come more embedded into the skin. So we really want to avoid that, and that's why I'm not in a rush to get another session done. I almost enjoy the
process.
I wouldn't call this incomplete. In my eyes, being a very, very picky artist, it's I could see where it can use a little more ink, but it's like the analogy we always use, right? It's like white teeth when people want like a perfect hairline. You don't want the guy like Regis Philbin back in the day who wants to be a millionaire, where his teeth were like glistening, they're gleaming. Like you don't want to be too perfect. right? So at some
Yeah.
point you want to stop before you get to what you think
And that
is
takes the
perfection.
pressure off of me because, I mean, I'm a wonderful artist, but doing his head, I was a little nervous. I was a little
Did an
nervous.
amazing job. If
I was
you
a
guys
little
can check it out,
nervous.
did an amazing job. So
Awesome then. So one last question now.
Cool.
When the process, they're going through the entire process, how many sessions? And I know we do a little bit longer than other places. And I really, again, like to explain the process and the sessions.
okay, so your question is how many sessions should someone anticipate? Well, you know my answer is going to be everybody's different.
Yep.
So I would say, and I know it's not the best situation to be in to say let's just take the slow ride, but
Getting it done correctly.
there's no better way. If I'm gonna do my brother, if I had one, my best friend, whoever, someone really important to me, and he's like, hey, take care of me, I want the best result in the world, I'd be like, stay close to me, let's just do like one session every couple of weeks, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, I don't know. It's everybody's different. I can't express that enough.
And I feel that people shouldn't be afraid of that. I know that, especially you know firsthand, with experiencing hair loss, you
Sure.
want to get this done as soon as possible. You want to stop either using the fibers, stop wearing a hat, but we cannot stress enough. Having this done correctly and taking that slower ride is not only going to just guarantee you your results right now, but long term, you're going to be so much more happy. I mean, you're going to be
It's
happier.
true.
That's really the truth.
It's true.
And I mean, even our clients, the ones that come in and are trying to kind of pressure us, well, hey, I have this event happening. I really want to have it completed. And now that they've had the procedure done and they know that we're like, okay, we're sorry, but like we're going to take the slower ride, they're so much happier. And they're like, thank you for doing it the way that you guys did it. And I really think that's a standard. That's
Yeah.
a standard that a lot
Yeah.
of people don't stick to.
Let me put it like this. In other words, I think you asked me earlier the evolutions I've seen in the industry, right? 10 years of doing this, I have no doubt we're going to start to see, you know, everybody, there's different demographics out there. Some guys want the instant look, some guys want the edge up. I always suggest against that. I almost had that myself, kind of made that mistake in my opinion, but what I'm trying to get at is if you want the best results, the world's finest results,
World class.
this industry is going to get to a point, it's already starting to, and we're hoping to forge that, where people are taking long term to get there.
Yes.
It's the most appropriate way. If you think about it from a business owner's point of view, it's not the most ideal.
But it's the right way to do it with integrity.
And again, if the whole agenda is to have the best results, that's the
Exactly.
way. So I look forward to seeing a little bit of that. Artists start to slow down a little
Yes.
bit, take it easy, and then we're going to see people 5 years, 10 years, 15. We're going to see one pretty soon. 15 years, I love my result, haven't touched it once. 20 years, haven't touched it. You know, it's been done. I can't wait to see
Standing the
something
test
like
of
that.
time.
That's the way we're going to get it done. So